What does a Universal Orlando vacation cost? In today's video, we are going to answer that question and more.
If you're new here, on this channel we talk about all things Halloween, Harry Potter, and theme parks. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, the way this is going to work is we're going to talk about some of the things that you have to spend money on when you visit Universal. So that's going to be your tickets to get into the park, the hotel you're going to stay at, and the food you're going to eat.
Which is the most important part of any vacation. Also, you forgot one. Butterbeer.
We also booked 2 separate vacations to Universal, and the first one we had a tighter budget in mind, and with the second vacation we added a few bells and whistles and upgraded it just a little bit so you can get an idea of the range of prices that you might see at Universal.
And then towards the end of the video, we are going to break down those numbers from those 2 vacations just to show you what those 2 different budgets will get you. Universal Orlando offers 8 on-site hotels, and we 100% recommend that you stay at one of them. They come with a wide range of benefits, including early park admission, transportation to and from the parks, and one of them that is becoming more relevant, especially right now, you are guaranteed access to the parks even if they hit capacity.
Universal offers a hotel for every budget. The 2 endless summer resorts are the most cost-effective options, which start at $87 per night for a standard 2-queen room.
And we have stayed off property in the past before, and you're not gonna find anywhere within like reasonable distance from the parks at that price point or lower than that price point.
The Hard Rock Hotel, Portofino Bay, and Royal Pacific are the premier hotels, and they come with some awesome perks like an unlimited express pass. The lowest that you're typically going to see these rooms is around $250 per night.
You won't see them there often.
And they can get upwards of $400 per night for a standard room during peak season. The other hotels at Universal include Cabana Bay, Sapphire Falls, and Adventura, and those are going to fall somewhere in the middle.
Something you should keep in mind is that if you are driving, meaning that if you are close enough to drive, or whether you are renting a car, parking at the hotels is not free. It ranges anywhere between $14 and $28 per night, depending on which hotel you are staying at.
Moving on to tickets, Universal offers several different ticketing options for the parks.
They can be a little confusing.
A one-day, one-park ticket starts at about $109 per person, and they go up from there depending on how busy the parks are.
For clarity, a one-day, one-park ticket will only grant you access to either Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios.
If you do want to visit both parks in one day,
and you do,
you will need to purchase a park-to-park ticket.
And if you are someone who is a fan of the Harry Potter series, keep in mind that you must have a park-to-park ticket if you want to ride the Hogwarts Express.
A one-day park-to-park ticket starts out at about $165 and it increases from there. When looking at the park-to-park passes, the more days you visit the parks, the cheaper it is per day. So if you look at a 2-day park-to-park pass, it's about $273 per person, which is about $30 cheaper per day compared to the single-day pass. This trend continues as you increase the number of days, and when you top out at that 5-day park...
Yeah, that's as much as they will let you do, because when we first noticed this trend, it's like, hey, if we book like 33 days, they'll just pay us to come.
But that 5-day park-to-park pass ends up being about $66 per day.
Which is like a great deal, really.
Right. The more days you visit, the cheaper it gets per day. If you're wanting to include Volcano Bay in your trip, you can get a 3-park pass for about $20 more per day, but you can also get single day tickets to Volcano Bay for about $70 to $85, depending on the time of year that you're visiting.
And we would suggest just getting that single like day for Volcano Bay, because I just don't see a world where you would go to all three parks. Like, in our opinion, and you know, to each their own, but we think it's like you do Volcano Bay one day, or you go to Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios. Like, I just don't see how you mix a day where you spend half the day at Volcano Bay and then you go change clothes and then you run over and spend 4 or 5 hours at the other two parks. That would be tiring. I mean, that'd be a long day.
Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, if you could go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, it helps us with the YouTube algorithm and we'd really, really appreciate it. And moving on to food, of course, you're gonna have to eat during your trip, and theme parks are notorious for having overly priced food.
$14 hot dogs.
Our rule of thumb that we use when we're budgeting for our trips is that we expect to spend about $50 per person per day on food.
So when we say $50 per person per day, that is like a typical day. That's not doing anything fancy. I mean, if you plan on getting dinner at City Walk, you can spend way more than that.
Right.
Or if you're not very hungry that day, you could spend less than that. I mean, we've had days where we've only spent $20 or $30 combined in the parks. It just really depends on the day. But $50 is it's just middle of the road, and it's very typical for us.
When we visit Universal, we typically run straight for the parks first thing in the morning and start riding some rides. So we typically don't eat breakfast, but we start getting hungry that like kind of late morning hour.
10:30.
Yeah. So we'll go and get a snack, which typically is going to run you between $5 to $8. Yeah. And then we like to stop at the quick service locations for lunch, like Green Eggs and Ham or Louie's Pizza. Yeah. And that's going to range somewhere between like $10 to $15 per person.
Closer to that $15 mark.
And then for a pretty good dinner in City Walk, you can expect to pay at least $20 per person. And when you add in a couple bottles of water at $5 each, you're right at that $50 mark. And of course, children's meals are going to be slightly less expensive, but you'll make up that price difference with all of the candy that you buy in Honeydukes. All right, so now we're going to break down the numbers for those two example vacations that we talked about. And for comparison's sake, I looked up the numbers for both of these today, and the trips are both based on 2 adults staying the exact same dates for 5 days and 4 nights. For the more budget-friendly option, 4 nights at Endless Summer is going to cost $715. Universal is currently offering a ticket special for a 4-day park-to-park pass. Yeah. They frequently run specials on their tickets.
Yeah, so just always keep your eyes up, because buying them like at the price that they are per day is never the correct choice.
Absolutely. So those 4-day park-to-park tickets for 2 is going to run $580. We're going to budget about $500 for food based on that $50 per person per day rule of thumb that we like to go by. So when you add all of this up, this is going to be $1795 pre-tax. Yeah. Now we're going to look at this same trip, but we're going to upgrade a few of the amenities. For starters, we're going to change our hotel to Portofino Bay, and a 4-night stay at Portofino Bay is going to come in at $1939.
That is already more expensive than the entire previous vacation.
Yeah, so we're going to keep that same 4-day park-to-park pass at $580 for 2 people, but we're going to upgrade our food by $25 per person
3 butterbeers
per day.
I guess you could just get like an alcoholic drink, or maybe an appetizer and like another quick service meal, or you could get 3 butterbeers, or you could probably get 3 butterbeers.
So when you add all of this together, the total for this slightly upgraded hotel or vacation package comes in at $3269. These 2 example vacations were meant to give you an idea of what a realistic Universal vacation might cost. So that $1,700 vacation, that's a pretty reasonable budget, but when you start adding some of the amenities like a slightly nicer hotel and a little bit more money for food, it increases by $1,500 over the course of 5 days, which is a pretty big jump. But Universal has done a really great job of making sure that a Universal vacation is accessible for a wide range of budgets.
Yeah, and I think that Universal, they get a bad rep for being extremely expensive.
Right.
And like she said, it was just one of the reasons that we want to sort of break this down. Like, you can spend a lot of money. Like, that $3,200 for the Portofino, like, staying there, upgrading the hotel, that's really not going crazy either.
Right.
You see vacation packages, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Like, you can spend whatever you want at Universal, obviously, but it doesn't have to be that bad. You can go on a pretty tight budget. Keep in mind, we booked this vacation during peak season, so these numbers are inflated from if you are able to go like during a slow time. You can probably cut another $400 to $600 off that $1,700 vacation. As you probably noticed, we didn't budget things such as travel because it can vary so much. We don't know whether you are driving or whether you are flying or where you are coming from. A flight from, say, Seattle is probably going to be a little bit more expensive than a flight from Nashville. Also, merchandise. That's so personal.
Yeah.
You see people who walk out of there with so much stuff that you are unsure of how they are going to get on the plane with everything.
Maybe they're driving.
They better be. And then you see people who somehow manage to get out of the parks without purchasing a single souvenir. We fall somewhere in between. Like, we are very much, we're not going to spend it. And then we end up having to jump on our suitcases to get everything to fit. But that is so personal, and travel is such a wide variable that we felt it would be unjust to include it into this video.
If you are booking a trip to Universal and you're looking for some ways to save money, we have some videos that we've already put out and some that are soon to be coming out.
They are in the works.
With some really great money-saving tips for visiting Universal Studios. So we'll put a link down in the description to our Universal Vacation Planning Guide. We'll also put a card up here so you can check that out.
So I guess that wraps up today's video. Leave us a comment in the comment section and let us know how far in advance you book your Universal vacations.
If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. You can hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell notification so you get an alert every time we post a new video.
It's back here again. Thanks for watching.